Hello and welcome to the Canmaking News podcast. I am your host, Janice Osborne. This is the one-stop shop for the metal packaging industry. I also am the publisher of the magazine Canmaking News Online. This is our very first podcast. We really hope you enjoy the conversation, as we intend to do many more. Today, I will be in conversation with Rául Martinez, the director of Latamcan, the South American metal packaging show. I think we first met, didn't we, at MetPack many years ago.
Many moons ago, yes.
Many moons ago. Well, it's so lovely to see you and hear you after all these months of not seeing anybody. I just wanted to know, how are you doing? How are things going with Latamcan? And just tell me what progress you've made and what are your views on the future, really?
First of all, thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it. Latamcan is going very well. I was just talking to somebody else this morning, and I mentioned that there is an additional pressure on our team because we're going to be the first show in our industry since the pandemic started. We were the last one in February last year, just when the pandemic was starting, and then we're going to be the first one that is already confirmed to actually happen. We considered a few options, maybe doing a hybrid show, but honestly, at this point, it looks like it's going to go ahead as an in-person conference. Yeah. We are seeing a lot of advances in the vaccination process in the US, Europe, even here in Latin America. I got my shots here in Monterrey, Mexico, where I live. So that is progressing. Maybe there's still quite a few months to go. So a lot of things will improve from here on. Maybe some won't. So we're looking at alternatives to offer more security to the people attending on how the protocol will be regarding distancing and requirements like COVID testing, for example. And in that respect, we are even prepared to have a COVID testing facility right at the entrance of the venue so everybody can be tested to be allowed to come in. So that will give an additional security to the attendees that, it will be safe to attend. So it is going very well. We already have around 70 companies signed up to have tabletop exhibits. We have, the hotel is almost full. We have only a few rooms left on the contract that we originally signed. And we are expecting a lot more people to sign up after the summer. I believe that during the summertime, when the vaccination process finally reaches higher levels and people are more confident about traveling, it will increase. One thing that I want to mention, Janice, if you allow me, is that I'm already experiencing improvements in the traveling process for suppliers visiting camp plants, for example. Just this week and next week, I have meetings to see people here in Monterrey that are coming from the U.S. mainly, that are coming to visit local camp plants here in Monterrey. So you see a lot of people already wanting to recuperate the face-to-face contact. So, and that is going to be one of the successes I think Latamcan 2021 is going to have.
So internal travel is okay at the moment, is it? In the States in particular?
I just flew to San Antonio, Texas last week. No problem. As long as you bring a negative COVID test, there's no reason not to fly. Here in Mexico, airports never closed. Hotels are already open at 100% capacity. Most of the regular businesses like restaurants and bars and more people frequent are already pretty much open. So yeah, I believe that things are looking brighter, and the summertime will bring some relief, as I said, once the vaccination process continues and more vaccines come out in the market. We already see a reduction on the distance required between people and tables for meetings. It's already come down from 6 feet to 3 feet. So that means that, we can rearrange our meeting rooms, so I believe it's going well.
It's interesting you should say that, because I feel over here there's a lot of nervousness still about travel, in particular in Europe, compared to the rest. Maybe not compared to America, it's slightly different, because we don't travel internally as much as the Americans. But there's quite a bit of nervousness.
I don't see fear in traveling anymore. At least in the context that I move. But what I do see still is a lot of restrictions from corporate organizations not allowing their people to travel yet. Corporations are being more cautious on allowing their people to travel to foreign countries, and that's understandable.
Do you think the exhibitions then are going to go ahead this year? Do you think they will go ahead?
Well, we are going ahead.
Yes.
We are going ahead for sure. We want to do it. We want to be the first ones to do it. Well, and many people will follow our lead. Many other shows will follow our lead once everybody sees that, a large show like ours actually takes place with safety regulations and everything goes fine. I believe people want to reconnect again, personally. People, so I believe it will happen, yes.
I was going to say, what it is, really, we want to get together and have a beer around the pool.
Well, that is a big part of it, but honestly, with so many new camp plants being built, so many projects to increase capacity on the camp plants, because the market is driving it that way. Most of these projects, or most of the details of our project, can handle through conference calls like these or email. But the personal interaction, the final details, at the end, people are going to have to travel to install all this machinery and build these new plants. So yes, I believe things are improving and will improve for the best shortly.
What are your views then? Because I've been thinking about this quite a lot. What are your views about the future for shows and conferences, not just for can making, but globally? Is there going to be...
Yes, that's a very good question, because I've been asked the same thing before. If you had asked me this at the end of last year or even at the beginning of this year, I would have had my doubts. I would have considered virtual shows or even hybrid shows. Actually, we did consider doing our show in a hybrid fashion, meaning that some people, whoever wanted to attend in person could, or whoever wanted to check out the presentations online could, or even attend the exhibit hall online. But honestly, the response I received from the people I asked around about is no. We want to do it in person. If we're going to go to Mexico in this case, we want to do it in person and see as many customers as possible, and that is what Latamcan is offering. So I believe that the trend will continue to come back to in-person shows.
Yes, actually I agree with you, because I think we looked at virtual conferencing. I don't think it works. I think it's very difficult to make it work because there's no personal contact, and I just think it's hard to get across the message, really. We looked at it as a team, and we put together some proposals, and they weren't that well received. And that's because I think you're right. I think people want to get back to normality, don't they?
Yes, and just a funny comment. Most of the people I've talked to, they say, I need to get away from the wife and kids for a little bit. So it is, it is. People want to go back to normality, So and this is a way of doing it.
Oh, I need to say, I need to get away from the husband.
There you go. I understand what you're saying. Yes, yeah. But now you have a grandkid to take care of, and
I know. I got a grandchild.
Congratulations, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much. He's very sweet. So, well, you know what that's like because your grandfather. How's your grandson?
My grandson is doing well. Thank you for asking. He's attending his therapy every day. We just made a change in his diet, which is improving his ability to interact internally in his little brain, and he's doing great. We're really pleased. Thank you for asking.
No, well, can you explain, because he has autism, is that right?
Yes, he was diagnosed a couple of years ago with autism spectrum syndrome. He has a mild case of autism, which is not very well defined by medicine right now, but there's a spectrum. And apparently he's on the lower scale.
Which is good.
But he's non-verbal autism, which means he doesn't speak. And that is what we're trying to, there's a trend now where you can help them develop their speech by certain diet. So with like no gluten, no sugars, no dairy products. Yeah. And it is hard. It is complicated because the whole household has to do the same process. So it is cumbersome, it is complicated, but I mean, it is all for his well-being. So we're doing it gladly.
Well, that's marvellous. I've been reading about it recently. It's interesting, isn't it? And now, a word from our sponsors. Oh, we haven't got one yet, but you could be a sponsor. If you would like to sponsor the Canmaking News podcast, please go to canmakingnews.com, where you will find all the information that you need and my contact details. We will be promoting the podcast on all social media platforms, and it will also be released to iTunes and Amazon and wherever you get your own podcasts. So, really, from what you're saying, the industry is flourishing. Cans are being made non-stop. Everyone's working really well. The only problem we've got really is trying to get back on the road, get into the planes, get into our cars, and meet customers. And as you said, yours is the first show. It will be the first show.
Yes.
So you're right. The pressure is on.
It is. Believe me. but we're confident. I mean, we already have a ton of companies. The program is already finished. I think we only have one slot in the 3-piece room available. As I said, I mean, most of the contracted rooms at the hotel are already sold. So it looks bright. I mean, from here to there, we have to finalize, details like, for example, meals. How will meals work? Will there be served or will there be packaged individually to avoid interaction with waiters, stuff like that, so it's little details that have to be worked out. But since we have so many months still to the dates, we don't know what the official requirements will be at the time. We will have to adjust to those and even improve on them. So we'll be working on that in the following weeks.
We can watch this space. So as you know, we sponsor the show Canmaking News, which is brilliant. Thank you very much for letting us do that, because that's amazing. But we can help put out the news between now and then about if people have worries or concerns. We can help get rid of those concerns by answering questions. If you send us more information, we're happy to do that for you.
We will, and I believe just this conversation alone, if people have a chance to see it in the next few weeks, they'll understand what I'm saying. I mean, most people will agree that we need to get back to some normality. Most people will agree that the personal interaction is a key factor in not only our industry, but in life in general. That's why it is so important for governments to return the kids to school, for example. It is good to have homeschooling for a while, but the personal interaction between a pupil and a teacher is always very important, and that applies to us as well.
Yes.
So I thank you for this, because once people hear what you and I are talking about, they will probably think, well, they might be right. We might really consider attending, and we hope they do. And the event is going to take place in the safest manner possible.
So before we close, remind me of the dates?
The dates for Latamcan are September 22nd to the 24th.
Well, all I can say is, Raul, thank you so much for talking to us. This is our first podcast in conversation with you. We go back years. You are so experienced in the industry. I mean, it's a great start. And we really wish you all the luck for this show, and we will support you. And have a great evening. And actually, happy Friday, because this is happy hour, isn't it? So maybe you have a tequila in a minute.
It's happy hour for you. It's only noon here. So
Yeah, well,
we'll wait a couple of hours and I'll join you.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Canmaking News podcast. I'm Janice Osborne. I'd like to thank Rául Martinez, the director of Latamcan, for joining us today. And a special thanks to our Canmaking News team, Jed Backhouse, brand manager, and Adrian Townsend for production. This is Canmaking News in Conversation. Okay, that's it. So was that all right, Raul? Did you like that? Was that fine for you?
Well, I think so. I should have prepared a little better with, maybe comb my hair and wear something, but that's fine.